in your seat?
No. But you have to move closer.
I'm going to bugger off in a bit.
Yeah, you have to.
Be kind.
Maice. Yeah.
So top 16th player. Congratulations to make it through here.
Starting now.
Your run starts now.
They've not started the clock. There we go, we're underway.
It's such a cool setup. Every time I see you, you get it better. It looks
No,
better.
it's exactly the same as it was before.
It just looks cleaner though. It's not in Birmingham.
Okay, so welcome to Top 16 from the Paris System Open 2018. I'm joined by Ed Holmes for a short while. Hey. while we get ready for the hyperspace for his next round. Excuse me. Zoom on the ghost, they're asking for. Maybe, look, I'll tell you what, if I do this camera, you get a better look at it. No, not so much, but anyway. Maybe later on we'll do some sort of zoom on it to make it look really cool. Yeah, so we've got on the right side of the table, you've got Rasta Maice playing Kanan Jarrus with Fire Control System, Finn, Auto Blaster Turret and Ray. Lorik in the what's it called? Airwolf.
Airwolf, yeah.
Yeah, Airwolf is Tactician, a Score to Settle, Courier Droid, Ezra Bridger in the R3A2, Chopper and Snapshot. And on the right side of the table, Yann Lavergne from Paris is playing Zeb Aurelius, Chopper, Phantom, Fen Rao, Veteran Instincts, Hotshot Co-Pilot, R3A2, Low-Fall Rebel, Essential Jammer, Twin Laser Turret, Ezra, Maul, Engine Upgrade and Ghost. So what we're pretty much used to seeing now, huh? Ed, have you got anything to say about the two lists?
Mainly that Simeon developed this absolute awfulness that George is running.
Who's Simeon?
I don't know, some scrub. Simeon Jalapeno, so like a young 13-year-old girl that just won Worlds. Yeah, he developed this. That's one of the reasons he hasn't come over, because apparently he played it with his IGs, got beat by it, and went, I don't want to play anymore.
But did he develop it, or did he get played?
He made it, gave it to his dad, and then
his dad beat him.
And then, and then he got upset.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm sure he'll see this and go, that's not true, but it is true.
It is not true.
But it's a really interesting list. Brutal. It's totally different to what we're used to seeing when you go, oh, there's a ghost.
And also I think that one of the big things about it is that George wanted to make sure he got these ships on the table at some point, didn't he? I mean, he just won an award for that Thunderbird 2. Which is awesome.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and I'm tempted to change the names in the list. Instead of Kanan Jarrus, put Thunderbird 2, Ezra Bridger Thunderbird 4, and Lorik as Airwolf.
Well, the funniest thing is that George is an amazing painter, but he's colourblind, and that Thunderbird 2 is, he'll admit this, is the hardest thing he's ever had to paint because of the colour.
Yeah,
that green is so difficult for him, and the amount of abuse he gets. Well, he often asks in like the Warlords chat, what are these colours? Because he can't see them himself, and that was just matching that up. I think, to be honest, I think it was Lee Dalton really helped him with that, and the stenciling and things like that. So yeah,
it's an awesome piece, and with the modifications and I mean, if you're British, you know exactly what it is the second you see it. Maybe for our foreign friends, they won't quite get what it is. But in the 60s there was a legendary TV show with puppets. There was the Thunderbirds, and that was their major rescue vehicle, was the Thunderbird 2.
Jerry Anderson.
And now they've got a new version that the kids are into these days. So.
It's not supposed to be not that bad.
It's pretty good. My kids watch it. My kids love it, and my kids are like 5 and 2, 5 and 3. So.
I remember meeting Jerry Anderson with my dad, and it was, I've never seen him fanboy out over someone as much as that. He was like, oh my god, Jerry Anderson! We got an autograph with him.
Wicked.
And and he was like going, oh, I was in the book club and all this stuff, and I was like, okay.
It is, when you go back to the old ones, it doesn't hold up so well because they were weird little puppets. But it was more the design of the ships that sold that series, and still makes the new series now a success.
And Stingray.
Stingray was awesome, yeah.
What was it, Joe 90? That was our waitress last night. was called Marina in the thingy, and George literally started singing that as he was signing his autograph to her. It was the autograph of you. You were the only one missing from that picture that we signed to her.
Oh,
we'll have to go there tonight and have a really nice €20 steak that you cook yourself.
I can't afford that.
It's amazing.
So I mean, obviously George is a very capable player, and he plays it down a lot because there's obviously one of the big things that's to be involved with here is that there is an innate level of ability to being a next wing player. You can practice, and you can do repetitions as much as possible. You can play the most efficient lifts, but there are some people that are just that talented that it's just like they are a good X-wing player. They can look and they can judge distance. They can get positions worked out in their head, and they're just it's a little bit quicker at working out what's the best option for them to do in a given situation.
Well, this is one of the things with George, though, is that I know a lot of people will say. And him and Simeon do a lot of reps. They actually don't. They don't play as much as people think. I mean, I go down to Warlords when I can. Tuesdays is really... I mean, they're getting 20, 30 people down there all the time now. And part of that problem is George doesn't get as many games because he's the captain, so he's got to go around, he's schmoozing. I mean, he might get a game in with Ash before everyone turns up, but he doesn't play as many as you think. It is that innate ability. He can read the game very well. His vision at times, I think probably the greatest game I ever saw just for a manoeuvre was when he played Ollie Pocknell, the system in last year in the System Open, and he just turned over Sarge, and no one expected it.
That was the game I had. That was the one where I had the problem with the cable, and I was sat down right next to them.
And it was oh man!
And he kept looking at me and asking me questions. And I was like, "I'm not here." I just sat just up the side, but I was like this tiny little corner next to the camera, next to George, and he just kept looking at me and talking to me. I was like, "Someone wasn't supposed to be there technically, or talking to him." So it's just there is a certain level of. People think that a lot of it comes from repetition and stuff like that, and that's true that can hone your skill, but there is a certain quality that just can't be practiced, and certain people have it and other people don't, and the people that don't make up for it by practicing and repeating and studying meta. And then, but those people, it's kind of like saying, you know, if you practice playing football every single day, you'll be as good as David Beckham or Cristiano Ronaldo. It's like, no, because there's a certain level of talent that's inherent in doing it, and just that little bit of magic that they have that you just can't reach.
The other thing is, I think George will say this, is that his inherent belief in the Force really helps him.
Yeah.
And you'll see him waving his hand on every dice roll near enough, to the point where we all started copying him, and I got told off in a regional for doing it, going over a rock, watching the final, and they went, "Sorry, no outside interference." I was like, so you actively believe I have the Force? This is great. But George will do it all the time, and it's I think that. Not superstition. I think those little things really help. As you said, here when he was setting up, he has to have everything in the same place.
No, him and Simeon as well are very particular. For example, it's always been the question of they mod their bases to have those magnets. Means I can't change their bases. For example, now they've started George's experiences with me and UK nationals and European nationals. They've started to become very serious about the fact that before I would lay out the cards between each game. Now I do that at the beginning of the day and then just have them count the cards because it was becoming too ridiculous. Like to really mix the cards up is hard because a lot of people just shuffle with that. I'm just going to take half and half and smash them into each other. And one of the things that people don't realise is that when you take half and half and smash them into each other, half and half and smash them into each other, half and half and smash them into each other, after about 10 tries you put them all back in order. Which is if you're someone who's played poker and you play with poker chips, you realise because once you start doing that poker chip shuffle, you can do it like 5 times and suddenly everything's back in order. And it's like you can't. That's why when you're in a casino and you watch people shuffle cards, they take half and half and shuffle them. But then after one of those, they strip and they mix them back up so they're in a different order to make sure that you're not just shuffling them back into the same order, because you get to a point where you're so practiced with that maneuver that you're perfect at it. You literally just levering one on top of the other, and eventually doing it enough times, you just put everything back in order. Everything just falls back into place, and so it's a sort of thing that like I've seen people that like you can sit there and say they've not mixed the cards up properly, because when I got the cards after a match and I started laying them all out, everything was coming out in groups, and it's just like, no, they've just shuffled too much in a very repetitive pattern.
So I thought this was quite an interesting, because George essentially bunkered for a little bit with this, and I think it was, sorry, what's the young gentleman? Yann, isn't it?
Yann Lavergne.
Yeah, he sort of has done an about with the entire list, drawn him out a little bit, but I think we're there'll be no engagement for a bit.
No, of course not. George has got all the time to play. I asked, there was two, obviously the two British people in that are continuing in the top, as we are. Let's switch over to that top bracket. We've got James Andrew Finlayson. That was the ranking.
There's another one as well.
There's Andrew Patterson's in as well. But he played in top 32. What's his name? Callum Brown's out. Got knocked out by Yann. One of the so I had James Andrew Finlayson and Rasta, who are both playing some really gorgeous ships painted by Rasta. James is playing the stress bunker. He's got Miranda, Lorik and Ezra, but they're modded and painted up to be like the Super Mario characters, which is really cool as well. And so I wanted to get one of those two on, and obviously I've got the risk that one of them might get eliminated in this round. So if I go for one and the other one gets eliminated, then but they were both like, no, we can take Low Full Fen. They both got paired up against Low Full Fen. They were both like, no, we'd do it, and then it was George that said, I'll do it.
Well, this is George's first time playing against this list. He's never played against it before.
He's never played Low Full Fen.
No. He's, as I said, this is a brand new list. Sim just creates things and.
But he's played against Low Full Fen in other situations.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean,
okay, he's not field tested this list against Low Full Fen.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all played enough games against Low Full Fen at some point. My first and only win against out of many attempts yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a lovely bloke, Rasmus, who'd been to Worlds with this year.
Yeah.
So he was like, I was giving out my autograph things, and there's one of me with a Rasta hat, so I got Rasta to sign it for him as well.
Yeah. So we're seeing a very cautious opening from both of them.
Is that the K? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it when George said that he was turning up with a ghost. We were chatting about it, and I was like, no, he's winding me up. He's like, no, I brought Thunderbird too. And I was like, what? Are you sure? He's like, yeah. All right then.
And he's got his R2D2 templates from the European Championships. I've actually seen he's asking this weekend to the organised play manager for Europe, Alec Thorne, if there would be any possibility of getting them to remake him a one straight, because obviously it gets a lot of use and the paint layer on it hasn't stood up to the time, hasn't done a very good job of retaining its picture over time. Just over a year now since he won it, and yeah, it looks pretty bashed.
Well, I played Paul Westwood, who also has a set of them, and he's got the exact same problem.
Same thing there with the Boba Fett ones as well. It's because it's a layer of paint on top, and obviously unless you've got one of those trays with a cover on top, they just end up kind of rubbing against each other in a bag and scratching the layers off of each other with their own corners.
I know George really wants to win the Boba ones, because so he's got his Rebel R2D2, he's got the Vader ones from last year, although they don't have a but they're his Imperial ones, which are actually he's got them with, like, that's part of his tray setup, and then he would complete the Scum set with
have a separate Scum
so yeah,
not 2.0 though.
No,
they've not got that fancy line on them. Send them to Cockatoo.
They're only doing it for £5 as well. It's fantastic. I can't wait to. I'm gonna hopefully see Michaela at Nerf Herder and get her to
Nerf Herder might be an appearance for me. Might be. I can't make UK nationals.
There's going to be, there'll be accommodation for you.
Pardon? I could have a Coca-Cola. Oui. Merci.
Really, you'd be going to? That'd be amazing though if you came to Nerf Fair.
Maybe because I'm not gonna. The whole thing was that after World Championships, there was this 1 week where I was talking to my wife, and it was like they've won a World Championship, and that means that. And if I'm not going to Euros, I'm probably not going to see them again until God knows when. And right now, Simeon being the world champion, that would have been a really cool thing to be able to go and speak to him and get an interview with him and blah blah blah. Hold on a second. And so I was trying. We were discussing it and working out whether or not it was something I could do, you know, and whether or not missing my son's birthday would be something that was feasible, and all that sort of stuff. And it was like for about a week where we were deciding, and she was like going, "You can go if you want," and it was just like, "No, I've got to make the decision. I've got to be the adult this time round." And so I ended up saying no because that was it. As I know I'm almost certainly not going to be going to the UK Nationals because August is just such a tough time with family visiting and the number and the price of flights as well. So that was almost certainly a no-go. After that was a question of it being so that if I wasn't going to go to Euros and I wasn't going to go to UK Nationals, it's like when am I going to go back to UK to see all these guys? And so it was a huge surprise when George showed up here. When I found out George was coming here, yeah, like I say, I've not seen Simeon since he won, and if I don't go to Nerf Herder, I probably won't see him again till early spring next year when there might be a system open or something similar. So it was a question of like just trying to work out, and Bob D told me about the Nerf Herder and stuff like that, and so it's a possibility in November. Is a question. I've got to find some sort of tournament to do in November because I'm supposed to be doing one tournament every single month, really, with the Patreon as it is. Obviously, there's that. I've got to try and get the Patreon a little bit higher, really, because I'm not saving money to be able to buy equipment and stuff like that. So I'm basically just all my money's just going on travel costs at the moment. And Nerf Herder is a good option because it's a 100-man, more than 100-man tournament in the UK. I have the facilities that there are people that are willing to give me accommodation, willing to help me out with the equipment I need when I'm there, and just basically that sort of thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here because this thing can't take much movement, okay? And also you're going to leave in a minute, but I'll just up the gain on it so you can just speak in there.
Well, what I was going to do is that I will probably pop back because as much as I really enjoy Hyperspace, I don't have to do anything because
you've got your invite.
I had to say that.
The second you lose your first game, it's like there's no. Well, yeah, you've already got the invites. There's nothing going on here.
I'm really just here for this is Jess's 4th ever tournament. She played Euros day 1, then she played in Hyperspace. She played yesterday. She and really enjoyed Hangar Bay, and now she's currently playing in Hyperspace. So, so I'm just here for her, really, just relaxing.
Cool. Oh, I've got something for you. Look, I've got one of these extra, so you can take advantage of that tomorrow.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's not much, but I know you guys are here till Tuesday, so you'll get some use out of it. And so it's the sort of thing where Nerf Herder Maice is a very strong possibility at the moment.
I know we'd love to see that. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, last year we raised over £5,000, and everyone had to go to Hull. Yeah. Nobody wants to go to Hull.
No, nobody wants to go to Hull.
And obviously this one being...
Carl Walker, we love you, but nobody wants to go to Hull.
And with Element Games have taken up in Stockport, it's Manchester. Yeah. It's a lot easier to get to for people.
Stockport is not Manchester.
That's the easiest... If I said Stockport, people get confused.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, it's closer for a lot of people. I know a lot of the 186 are actually travelling up. So they even got their name right. That's the first time ever.
Okay.
But they're going to travel up, which is the first time for them. And I'm really hoping it's just an amazing... It was so fun last year. And funny enough, it was Sim's first big win.
Yeah.
And you know that when in the final, when he said, get back to before his dad was run over, he wanted to roll the dice out. I made him do that last year. Yeah. When I rolled 1 hit on Nora, I had to do 1 damage. He had 4 evade dice and a focus token. He came around to give me a hug. I went, no, Sim, roll your dice. And then obviously he won. Yeah. And then he could have his hug. And then he played his dad's. And I think there is a video somewhere on YouTube, Cloud City, were there. And he beat Kev Bellamy it was a mirror match with trip jumps. And it's Simeon at his best. It's clinical.
So I'm starting to think you're bad luck for the stream, because whenever you show up, nothing's happening in the game. there's two situations where you get Ed Holmes to commentate. Nothing's happening in the game, or you get a game like we had at UK Nationals where Simeon plays plays Jack. The two of them are just like bash, 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 and we're like and it finishes.
What about Twiggy against Lewis Witham? We sat down and we hadn't faced the introduction to where people were from, and Twiggy'd won. Because it was a lovely game, that. And Lou still, because he constantly complains at me anyway. He still talks about that game. About
so, reminding me right now, obviously Rasta has got. We were talking earlier about how his modding skills and painting skills are totally elite. Right, so you'd be thinking, wow, I think like that man should do as much as possible. How could I help that man do more? Well, you see, Rasta Maice has a Patreon where you can support him and the content that he provides for the community by just going along and just giving him a little bit of money each month, and that works out really well for him and helps to promote him and give him the drive to do more. For example, I'll turn around and tell you that Patreon thing he started in January, February.
Yes,
yeah, and before then, Rasta had never gone overseas for a tournament. Yeah, and that's why I was so surprised to find out he was coming here. And it's just like, well, there you go. You see, now he's starting to realise he's a personality in the community, he's a figurehead of the community, and he's starting to get more involved. The more you guys get involved with Rasta through Patreon, the more you will see of Rasta. Merci. It's my lunch ticket.
Well, I'm a supporter of his Patreon and your Patreon.
I am, yeah, of course.
Which is absolutely brilliant, because I really enjoy. I even messaged you, didn't I, and said, "Oh, brilliant! You're coming to France." Because it's a really good way of keeping of extra little bit of keeping in touch. And when Rasta, I like getting those little updates and he's supposed to be doing cooking programs as well, but he's not done any of them yet for me. I'm a little disappointed.
I kind of treat it like I've got the Patreon is where I have the most loyal followers, obviously, because they're willing to put money into it, and so I use that as kind of like my announcements, my what's the kind of like, it's like information before anybody else gets it, sort of thing. Yeah, so I say, right, I'm going to France, I confirm it there, and I don't mention it on Facebook. Part of the reason why I don't talk about going to events on Facebook is it's a benefit to me that people don't know if I'm going to be there. Because if something happens, then I don't let people down. But also because the conversation traffic that is caused by like, is there going to be a stream? Is there going to be a stream? I don't know. Is there going to be a stream? That is something that draws more attention to what I do. People like that man sat there, the more posts they see people saying, is there going to be a stream? It sucks that there's not going to be a stream, is beneficial to me and to everybody else watching.
That was, I mean, it was something that I think so many people asked at Euros. You were so missed at Euros.
It was funny because everybody just assumed I would be there,
and obviously because
and I say it's funny. It's not funny.
You took your Patreon out and said that you weren't attending.
Yeah,
and I was devastated. I mean, one of the best things is looking back and watching those games. I mean, Jess is here. Her first introduction to Rasta was watching the Nationals games of your stuff, because I went, well, I'm commentating on this one, so you want to watch this? And she went, well, is this fine? Can we watch this one with, what's his, Rasta? You keep mentioning him. And so that's how they knew. So I was like, oh, I've done this wrong. So yeah, it is. I must admit, not having it at Euros was a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
But hopefully next year in Poland, because it's in Poland next year.
Yeah, because I wanted to go to Poland, and as I was saying earlier, events in August are highly difficult. And so it's knowing that Poland's got the European next year, then I kind of like, that's it. I know when I'm going to Poland to begin with. And I should turn around and say there are a couple of streams from Poland that do a very good job. And I'm not, if I go there, I'm not doing it to step on anyone's foot. I try and do it as a collaboration between them. But it's still a long way away. I can't say 100% right now that I'm going to go. God knows what will happen between now and then.
It's Legion Krakow. They're the ones who do. They did the System Open. They had Seb Brady on commentary all day. I think Seb went a little bit mad with the amount of Ghost Fen that he saw during that time. But yeah, okay.
He went now into combat. Fen fires on Rebel Fen.
onto is the shot on
onto
Ezra?
onto Thunderbird 4. Oh, it's
Yeah.
Ezra, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, it has to spend it
Yeah.
with Hot Cop.
So you got a hit, 2 hits there, and George has got paint, which I guess is a evade and blank.
So he's got low Rick.
Yeah.
So I think he's debating that one.
Takes a shield off of Ezra. Now, Thunderbird 4.
Take stress.
Ezra's pilot skill 5, and I've got him on the screen as pilot skill 4 because the attack shuttle was 4. So stress bot.
And I have all hyperspace
Blanks, shield off. It's so good. Like Ezra's ability is fantastic.
talking about hyperspace?
I thought they were talking to judges.
Okay.
There doesn't seem to be any pairing zone up.
No.
There'll be that mad rush of everyone running across.
Chris, don't forget he's in hyperspace, so let us know if something happens.
Is it going up?
I'm putting pairings up as well.
It's fine.
I need my judges.
Okay.
Terrible.
Just because if we're talking, we might not realise. Yeah. So you got 1, 2, and 2 blanks after spending a focus. And one, I've not got the microphone turned down on the table, so that's why I can't hear anything.
And there's FCS, he's got the total like that.
Yeah.
First, GLT.
So low full firing on Ezra with a TLT on Thunderbird 4. Then you've got 1 hit, 1 focus, and a blank. Rerolls a blank, gets 2 hits and a focus, spends the focus. Rasta rolls a 1 evade and unknown. And takes damage card.
Well, he's Maul, hasn't he? So
yeah. Second.
yeah, he should fade it.
Alright, and
the
end of round TLT. 1 focus and 2 blanks, nothing there. And there's like 2 hits. Yeah.
Takes damage. Yeah. One more.
Okay, cool. Everything's cool. One thing I'm just going to check when you go is that their time is still running. Just, there was that thing about me taking their mobile phones off of them. So obviously having all those turns where they kind of castled and K-turn and stuff like that means that George managed to stack a whole ton of focuses on that Ray card. And whether or not that gives him an advantage in this situation, unknown until he gets Fen Rao off the table. Because Fen Rao's obviously going to neutralise any focuses he may have.
So he's got Snapshot Ezra, hasn't he? Yeah.
Snapshot, stress bot,
I think this is
tactician.
The snapshot's key, I think.
Snapshot chopper and stretch boss.
I feel like he won't be using chopper.
No.
With 2 all left on his Ezra.
Hyperspace competitors, pairings are going up around the room.
I'll leave you in like 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
You might as well leave now. No, because I don't want there to be any problems after this. That you've been chatting with me and you get your table the last minute. Okay.
I'll come back later on.
Okay.
I'll see you soon,
See you later.
buddy.
Good
Thank
luck.
you very much, man. You're not going to come to ETC though, are you?
It's August. And it was. I looked at flights. It was like €600. So I can't get a straight flight. I have to go boop boop, and then on top of that suitcase. And it was like, no way. It's a shame. They offered me free hotels.
Now it is. No, this is normal. It's doing commentary. You're not even playing.
I might have mentioned your Patreon.
So yeah, the plan is now, with family visiting in August and the cost of flights being huge, is to take August off, and there's no real events in July. And let's face it, with second edition on the way, there's not much to do. So it's a question of waiting until second edition comes after this event. And then we've got October, we've got Spanish Nationals in October, and after that we're talking November's November Open, French Nationals and stuff like that. So next event's likely to be in October, which is a shame, but with second edition on the way, there's not much can be done about that. Oh, he's got the high ground.
It's okay.
So, manoeuvres start, and the Low-Fall Rebel, free straight forward. Volta goes through to top 8, eliminating Sasha Glitch. Yeah, so positioning the Low-Fall Rebel in the middle there, just making it so all of Rasta's ships just kind of bump up.
Happy? Is that okay?
Fen disengages, brings the rear arc round.
Snapshot.
Yeah, so snapshot gets triggered.
Stress.
R3A2 stresses the Fen rail. 2 dice, looks like he gets nothing. Just a free stress then.
Start combat. Right.
Kanan's got that auto blaster turret. So, Fen fires on Ezra. I see a focus, and it says this is one. It looks like he avoided it.
No, Rick. You need to.
Lorik looks like he's at range 2.
Yeah, you mark that one.
On Fenral.
Judge! Judge! Judge!
Axel. One judge, please.
Can you hold this? Sorry. That's right, bro. Okay, range 3.
Range 3 from Lorik, Airwolf. To Fenral.
One. My dice are freezing.
One hit.
Yep.
What's the condition?
Ghost. Range 2.
A score to settle. It's got a score to settle on the Ghost. Okay. Oh!
Range 2.
Range 2.
Wait.
I've got arc, mate. You can. I've got arc. I'm holding the ship. I had arc at the start, and you know I did.
It's moved.
It's not moved.
One bump.
Yeah, it moved it that way. It didn't move it away. I've got arc. I've got arc. You know I had.
Okay.
Range 2.
So, Kanan Jarrus fires
Add a
the
blank
primary
with Finn.
weapon. Adds a blank with Finn.
Target
Looks like
arc,
he's got 3.
focus, 5.
Gets 5 hits after spending the Ray Focus. Fenral.
Range
Sorry. Range 2?
2. Range 2. So it takes 4.
Looks like a dead Fen.
Ezra, range 1 into the Ghost. Take stress. Nothing.
No results on that those dice.
How many times blanks?
3 dice.
Yeah. That's it. 2 hits, crit, 3 shields.
There we go. So 3 shields off the Kanan Jarrus Ghost. And that leaves Lowfall Rebel against 3 ships on George's side of the table. That was a very good round for George to be able to get use the snapshot, the stress Fenral after executing his maneuver, meaning he couldn't use his ability to prevent George from modifying dice, and was unlucky with his attack from Lorik, but being lucky enough to have arc on the Kanan meant that he was able to stick a whole ton of damage on, and with a whole lot of luck was able to get all 4 hits on to stick on Fenral.
Yours?
So tricky manoeuvring situation going on here.
Hold on, I need to mark that. Yeah, you can do it like that. Do it from that side. Perfect. Can you take the model off? Thank you. Rick.
Lorik 2 turns to the right. Probably not going to be much importance in this round. He's too far away from Ezra to protect him, and I really doubt, unless Lawful Fen gets both damage onto Ezra on the first attack. To be able to take him off the board, giving him a target of opportunity on the second attack.
Okay, start a combat, Ray. So, Lorik, no shot. Ezra, no shot. Ghost, no shot.
Out of range.
Okay.
Back to Dials. Oh no, of course, he's going to fire on Ezra. He's got two TLT attacks that he can fire onto Ezra and to Lorik. One blank, 2 hits, re-rolls with Maul, gets a blank.
Dodge.
2 evades. So that means that all 4 TLT attacks have to go onto Ezra.
My dice are fucking... Someone's put them in the freezer.
And there's a focus, a crit, and a blank gets re-rolled for a focus. Uses Ezra to change his one.
Come on,
And
baby.
he's safe
Come on,
from that
Ezra.
one. Just got to
Come on,
get...
Ezra. Nope.
Nope. A dead Ezra.
Boom. So I'll swap Ezra for Fenrir any day. Happy days. Movement.
Back to planning phase. Wouter devastating his opponent in less than half an hour. It can be seen in the background just between Francois Alix from FFG, from Asthma the Organised Play in Spain, in France, and Alec Fawn, who was doing a photo, I guess. It looked like he was videoing it. What?
I'm ready, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. So bringing back around Lorik now to kind of flank Kanan.
Clear the stress.
And the results from top 16.
Target lock.
Francois Couet proceeds through to top 8.
Range 3.
We'll be playing
Out
Wouter.
blank with Finn. Focus. 4.
So 4 hits and a blank.
So 4. Yep.
First shields come off the Lawful Rebel.
Sorry?
Losing shields on Kanan. And one damage card goes through from the TLT attacks.
Have you got your list? Written out list? This one, like this. Is this it? Brilliant, thank you.
So, Rasta takes one more damage card and Yann gets half points for the VCX. And Rasta will have to apply another 4 damage before he's able to get half points back.
X-Wing players, just a quick announcement. We have 17 of the Mandalorian playmats spare. If you wanted to purchase one,
Nowhere. You were nowhere near it.
you go see my judge.
That's it. You were about that much away from even being on your base. You had it against your bump stops.
On the list. If we have 17 or less on the list, everyone gets a mat. If we have more than 17, we will need to do a block. You can put your name down on the mat between now and 2 o'clock. Payment is €35. The payment will be made through the Biletto website, the same place you got your ticket for this game. If you have any questions, please see myself or Alec. We're going to help you out. Thank you very much.
Votre attention s'il vous plaît, nous avons des playmats spéciaux au code series qui sont disponibles. Nous en avons exactement 17. Si vous êtes intéressé par ce playmat, allez voir Martin à la salle près de la cafétéria.
17 Mandalorian playmats are left over, so they're offering people that bought captain's tickets the opportunity to upgrade their captain ticket to an admiral ticket and take away some of the last remaining Mandalorian playmats.
Donc les tapis coûtent 35 €. Voilà, donc il faut aller à la salle des registration là-bas pour poser son nom sur la liste. Merci de votre attention et bonne journée. Si, pardon, on arrêtera la liste à 2 heures.
So both players disengage for a few rounds. This gives George the opportunity to stack up some focus cut tokens on the raid card for when he does get back into combat. Make sure he's got 2 focus tokens to try and maximize his damage mitigation from the TLT attacks of the local rebel. But he also needs to have Lorik involved. Lorik needs to be attacking the local rebel as well. He can't have Lorik being played in a passive position. Loafer goes 4 straight. Maybe even engine upgrade boost. To try and force an engagement now. Spanish player Juan Jose Garcia Roche is through to the top 8. That means a Spanish player has got an invite to the Coruscant Invitational. That makes me happy. Okay, so we're actually getting into some sort of situation where something might happen now. Ooh, interesting. Lorik presenting presenting himself to the local rebel. Kanan comes around. He's going to focus and move one over for Ray for start of combat. So that gives him the opportunity to reduce one of Kanan's. If Kanan chose to attack with the primary weapon, we'd be able to reduce his roll 1 fewer dice, thanks to Kanan. So Lorik looks like he's got 2 hits and uses score to settle. Turn the focus back, loses 2 shields on the local rebel.
On this one, score to settle. Score to settle. He has no EPT.
Okay.
Range 3. You have to deal with this first before you start shooting. Ah, okay, cool. Can I help?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so.
And Lorik?
Yeah.
CT?
Yeah.
And
Dodge.
did he take a shield off of Lorik? Huh? So you're attacking Lorik with the TLT this time round. Because is he out of range? Is he out of range 3? And I saw them put the range roll down. I thought it was range 2 they were looking at.
Dodge.
Lorik survives down to 1 hull point. Down to 1 shield, I should say. Sorry. More results from top 16. Artus Sebastien also proceeds through to top 16, top 8, I should say. Where's Artus? He beats Brian Lefebvre. For now, we've only got 1 Imperial in top 8. Let's have a quick look at that bracket. That's how that's matching up. Andrew Patterson playing Maice from Polish ETC team. James Finlayson playing Federico. What's going on? Tough situation to be in for both players right now. So does Rasta want to try and block the low fall with the Airwolf, or low fall disengages? 2 turns to the left. I mean, his TLT is what's giving him the major advantage right now. Or is his best? That's his best option for attack. He's got an advantage over Rasta's list in this situation, but it definitely gives him more flexibility for positioning that he doesn't have to engage face to face. James Finlayson also proceeds through to top 8, having defeated Frederic Hiro. He will play Arthur Sebastian.
Range 3.
3 blanks. Nice there. Ghost firing, primary weapon attack, 4 dice. Kanan adds 1 for Finn.
What? You have no luck?
Yes, I do.
Oh, sorry.
Focus.
Gets 4. And a focus.
2 hits, 2 crits.
2 hits and 2 crits go on to the Low-Fall Rebel. You've got Stun Pilot and Damage Cockpit. Pilot skill 0 doesn't make much difference now. Stun Pilot won't make much difference either unless George can get into a position where he can block him effectively. Yeah, no, ineffectual crits basically, but half points go on the board before Yann was able to get more points, his points from Kanan. So that's given George a distinct edge now, and with just over 15 minutes to go in the round, things are tipping heavily into George's favour. He does not have to play to avoid. He's fired with the primary weapon out the rear arc on Lorik. Hit and crit go through.
Console fire.
Wait. Console fire. Don't need to do that, George, but thank you.
On the ghost.
On Kanan firing TLT. 1 damage. 2 damage. So still a serious situation here, because with George's ghost now on 5 hit points, he can't afford to lose that ghost. He can't, and with 1 round of attacks from the Low-Fall Rebels TLT, the ghost can go off the table. What he can try and do is try and pilot skill him by bringing round Lorik and Kanan to have the ghost in arc. Now that his pilot skill, well, it made no difference, pilot skill, but he can take advantage of the fact of knowing his position, bringing them around, trying to make sure he can get 2 primary weapon attacks on the Ghost and hope to get the maximum amount of damage out of those 2 attacks to take him off the table before he can fire back with his TLT. The TLT will not be able to kill either Kanan or Lorik, but will definitely leave him in an unadvisable situation to have to go up against Zeb Aurelius alone. Zeb Aurelius versus Lorik is probably something that's more in favour of George for being having his 180-degree arc and the reinforced token, making himself more defensive than Zeb. It's not, but it's still nowhere near close to being a called game. Be interesting to see, because obviously George has got to think, where's that low fall going to go? You're probably looking at a 2-turn left. Not sure if he wants to boost. Not sure about that at all. What's he done? Yep, 2-turn left. Now, is his action the boost? His focus and target locks aren't really effective actions for him, but because of the fact he's got Maul and Ezra on board, the other action he's got as a Ghost is a evade. That could be an option, but looks like he's going to boost. Boosting away to get as much range as possible. See, that's an interesting decision for Yann. He's got a he wants to see what George's positions are going to be this turn to try and work out how serious he's going to try and pursue.
Bit of stress. Flip console fire.
Console fire gets flipped face down.
Great.
So, are we at range?
Sorry. Range 3 with Lorik.
Lorik fires on Lowfall Rebel
Roll something other than 3 blanks.
and gets 2 hits and a focus. Sensor
Nice.
jammer.
2 crits.
So he gets 2
1
crits.
crit.
1 crit goes through. Damn, I
Damaged
can't.
engines. Excellent.
Damaged engine.
And
So
then
that's
the
a good
Ghost,
one
range
for
3.
George. Now the Ghost is at range 3. It's going to fire primary weapon, 5 dice, target lock and focus.
And blank.
Adds a blank for.
Focus.
That's what I'm saying when I said 5 dice and
5.
fin. Okay.
4 and a crit. 4 and a crit. 3 and a crit.
So 1, 2, 3 face up card, face down. Looks like a.
Major hull breach, which doesn't matter.
What's it called? Major hull breach. Yeah. So down to 1 damage point left on the Lowfall Rebel. That's to George's favour because he's now going to return fire with TLT.
Full dice, you use this.
Yeah. And he's going to try and do as much damage to that Kanan Jarrus as possible. You can see 1 hit and something might be a focus underneath the Thunderbird 2 wing, and 2 blanks are the results.
I will hold this, okay? And no more.
Why are you turning it to a crit?
Because he has stress.
Oh, yeah, there's one. So yeah, take stress. Spend this. 2. Double damage.
Direct hit.
Shaken pilot.
And a shaken pilot. That direct hits change things a bit.
Yep.
Because now the TLT attack is more unlikely going to take that Kane and Jarrus off the board.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Dead. Leaving Airwolf to take down Lawful Rebel on 1 hull point and Zeb Aurelius. Now, obviously, you would guess Zeb Aurelius will get pooped out now to try and obstruct Airwolf's pursuit of the Lawful Rebel. Depending on what if Zeb's able to block the positioning of the Lorik,
7 health, yes.
he can prevent Lorik getting his reinforce action. So he just did a hard turn, stresses himself because of the damaged engine. Looks like the Zeb Aurelius comes out to be in the same place as where the Ghost was. That's not going to be able to allow a block for Lorik, but Lorik would have to fire on the Lawful Rebel, giving Zeb Aurelius a free shot.
Okay, shooting. Range 2, 1 stress. Not that it matters. 1 stress. Come on, baby.
It's
Dead.
one hit for a score to settle, and that's enough to take the Lawful Rebel off the board. Now, Zeb Aurelius has to do some damage.
Blanks.
Gets 3. George evades 1, and with the reinforce saves 1. Only loses 1 shield, and now you've got a 6 health Lorik against a 4 health Zeb Aurelius.
Can I see the dial?
Now, obviously, Lorik's not got any maneuver to kind of bring himself around Adrien Chouquet. Proceeds through to top 8. Eliminating Joël Guillamon. This is how your top bracket is forming up. Zeb Aurelius does a 4K, gets right in behind Lorik.
Stress.
Thank you.
And 1 damage.
What's the damage for? Chopper to do the action. Okay. And reinforced rear for Lorik. Where's Lorik? Why has he got so close to the board edge?
Range 3.
I don't think that was worth it. Anyway,
Dodged.
An ineffectual attack by Zeb with the reinforced token. But now George is really close to that board edge. Four minutes left to go in the round. Zeb takes a short maneuver to remove his stress and focuses. Lorik, 2 turns, right, reinforce rear. That's 3 hits. Focus, 1 for reinforce.
There's no point getting upset. How many blanks I chucked at you? A lot of blanks.
It's my only chance.
Yeah, but you've had plenty.
So, I mean, George isn't in a position where he can really get round to get shots on Zeb this turn, in the next couple of turns. So maybe with just over 2 minutes left in the round, the question here is to play for time. He's ahead on points by about 12 points, thanks to his Kanan and Ezra being less than the Fen and Lothal on Yann's side of the table. Andrew Patterson has won his game, has proceeded through to top 8, eliminating Maice, Andrzej Radzewicz.
Okay.
Now, if George is 2 turns right, that gets him in a barrel rolling. Oh, okay. Not very often you see that ship barrel roll, huh? Well, not very often you see that ship played. Bad. Does he have arc? I think so. Which is what he's checking right now, trying to work out if he's got an arc. I mean, it doesn't make much difference. He's going to reinforce rear as an action.
Okay. Reinforce the back.
Of course, if he was in arc, he'd have to reinforce the front.
No shot.
So reinforces rear. This is bad for George because Yann gets a range 1 attack now. 4 dice. Hit, focus, blank. No damage thanks to reinforce. And things get serious. So on their clock they had 45 seconds left. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This round 2 of stage 3 is up.
Your match is done.
It's done, guys.
across the back. After you.
No way that Zevarelius can put enough damage on Lorik this turn.
No damage. Good game. It's really
Game
hard.
is over. George goes through. Rasta, George. And that is the end of top 18. Top 16, sorry. That's what the top 8 bracket is like. I'm going to go over and congratulate them. Okay, Yann, congratulations for making top 16 at the French System Open. Congratulations, man. You've just been eliminated by Rasta and Maice. You're playing Low Fall Rebel. You had the list that was in front of you. Have you seen anything like similar to it before? Or?
No, I never see this list.
Yeah.
And the player is a great player. I was so stressed.
Yeah.
It's a very, very hard game. I don't know this list. I don't know how I do for take the win, and it's very hard. He was very bad luck with this low weak wall. It's good for me, but it's not sufficient.
Not so good for him. Yeah. Okay, so obviously English not being your best language, so I want to make sure you're expressed correctly, or you feel that you've explained yourself as well as possible. So just take that now a moment just to explain how you think the match went in French.
En français, in French?
Yeah, en français.
En français, ça a été compliqué parce que c'était un super grand joueur, et du coup j'étais beaucoup impressionné au début de la partie. Je savais pas vraiment comment l'attaquer et tout. Quand j'ai vu qu'il faisait son petit bunker, qu'il commençait à faire son bunker et gagner plein de focus, alors que j'avais prévu d'essayer de les saper avec Fenro, je me suis dit que là, du coup, ma stratégie initiale, elle était...
It's very similar, obviously I can't answer you in French, but it's very similar to a 100-point ace list where Kanan is the 100-point ace, huh? That like he's still got the Lorik and the Shifa to block him up, but instead of using Miranda, Nim, which are the typical ones, or Poe or Corrin, he's using that big ghost.
Yeah, so I don't...
Never mind, don't worry about it, just keep going.
Donc du coup j'ai essayé mon objectif principal était de passer derrière avec le Ghost. Je pensais pas perdre Fenro si vite. Pour moi je pensais pas qu'il allait avoir la portée avec son Ghost lors de l'engagement, l'arc de tir, et du coup ça m'a un peu surpris, et je savais vraiment pas comment attaquer cette liste, et bon, je suis content d'avoir fait un score assez proche. Ça s'est pas joué à grand chose, hein. J'ai juste loupé mes attaques sur Lorik. Avec peut-être un peu plus de chance, j'aurais pu gagner.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Hey, okay, you're not going to play Hyperspace because you've already got an invitation from when you played in Italy.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, excellent. Cool.
Thank you.
So while I wait for George to come on over, no! Jesus! Okay, let's do it like that. Don't tell him. Even painted the little... Because obviously, if you're not aware, the Thunderbird 4 is a smaller vehicle that fits into Thunderbird 2. Here's Airwolf. I didn't drop it. It just.
Did you just drop my Thunderbird?
No, it span around on its magnet.
The first time you ever looked at my shit, you dropped it.
I didn't.
And no one told me until I watched the video. Simon Green, if I didn't love you so much,
I didn't. I don't think I dropped it. I think I came close to dropping it.
And
I had
Kevin
the
nearly had a little heart attack. Rasta's gonna kill me.
I just nearly shit myself now. There we go.
you can see these pictures on my painting page.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, head on over the page.
Really good pictures.
Rasta Maice painting on Facebook, and check out the Patreon and stuff like that. As we said, that like one of the things that's interesting for myself, and I obviously met you just over 2 years ago now at the 2016 System Open the first time with the George Delaney thing and all that silliness. And and obviously back then you were like a really small team. It was just the three of you that showed up, and then since then things have gone crazy. And you started doing the Patreon in January, more or less.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been is when you've really started to realise how much of a figurehead of the community in total you are. Because before then, coming to a French event or going to World Championships wasn't really a thing. I mean, obviously, World Championships.
So everything kind of like snowballed from the win at Euros.
Yeah, of course. You had World Championships paid for, but for example, coming to a French Open would be something that you just wouldn't have done ever. But then obviously, with seeing feedback from and having Patreon and giving you that kind of drive.
Do you know what? I've got to be honest. Like last night, we went to eat, and I've put some photos up of us all eating. That's what we're really coming for now.
Yeah, of course.
So like the success at the table.
Yeah.
I've really put it as second to the memories I've been making.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, George. Is that like it's the fact that you're now involved in Patreon. You're seeing that kind of feedback, not just from the people you talk to, and that's maybe something that's maybe driven you a bit more.
Oh, totally.
To like,
so when I got to Worlds, there's a few guys come over and went, "Hi, I'm blah 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 from." The other side of the world, I'm one of your patrons. Yeah. And it's the most humbling experience.
Yeah, it does.
And it just pushes you to go and do more. And I know how much effort you put into your stuff. It's like our 100% goal. We just want to do more and more and more and more for people. Yeah. We've got so many plans. But it's this community. This community's on a different level of amazing. Yeah. Like we have such good experiences. We've never been to France. A lot of the French guys that are here don't really travel.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, the French community is very insular, very similar to the Spanish community in that sense.
We have been so warmly welcomed. It's just brilliant. Made great friends. Absolutely. And we've got Jess with us, our girl team player. It's her second event. She's had like a dozen games, and she's like, well, I didn't do well, but I've made these friends, and she showed me all the photos, and they might come over now to England, and we can help them out. And
it's kind of like, I don't know if you saw, I'm 100% certain you saw the post I put up after Simeon won Worlds, when it was like, I'd gone to bed and I'd woken up like 3 hours later. And I put up this great big long post, so long that I just couldn't be bothered to read it afterwards. But like, it was like, seeing how the European community has developed in the last couple of years and become a lot more open and a lot more communicative.
The travelling like part of it, that's the thing. When the guys travel around Europe, wherever we are, if there's Europeans that have rocked up, we know that 99% of them are the best in their country. And absolutely, that's pushed everyone to like up their game, up their skill level. And it has been really nice. I mean, there's always going to be the game in a million where there's a bit of friction. But generally, it's pushed. Oh, the Juicy Lucy. The Juice. Is that
the Juice? Would be? I guess it's OJ.
I thought that was my wife.
Well, no, I don't.
My wife's nickname's Juicy Lucy.
Love my AW from you.
You know when I won Worlds, you know she nearly broke her leg. Because at the end, when the cheer went up, she fell off the chair.
Euros.
When I won Euros. So she does watch. She's got First Earth Twitch on her phone, and she's not even a gamer. So it's really, really cool.
Oh, and the body painting thing was awesome.
She like that.
Yeah. What you need to do is you need to do yourself as well as Darth Vader.
It's really hard. My daughter went dressed as Darth Vader. Mini daughter. She won third at the Comic-Con prizes. Wicked. I think they kind of like ignore the body painters because there's something that happened years ago. They don't like to judge on that because it's a bit too.
It's a bit too risky. You can go too far easily.
It weren't. It was awesome. It looked really cool.
Absolutely.
That was my wife. So after Euros, you guys made a non-gamer feel so welcome at Euros that she then decided to go to Comic-Con and do a cosplay like that because she felt so comfortable around everyone. So it's really a credit to everyone that's out there in our community. Excellent. Really, really happy.
Awesome. One thing I would want to say about your game is that obviously there was a little bit of tension between you and Yann. Because obviously, and I explained like you got to think about from Yann's perspective is that you are a big name, and obviously it's an unfamiliar list.
Do you know how many times I've played against Ghost Fen? Yes.
Dave was telling me that's the first time you played with this list. But from Yann's perspective, this is a list he's not quite sure where to take from, how to take from it, and he's got to play against you being Rasta Maice. It's like, and so it's kind of like overwhelmed him a little bit, I think, in that respect.
So that was like definitely the one where I had to like buckle down and concentrate and switch off a little bit of the charm.
When you think about that situation, is that like obviously him coming up against the person, he wants to be 100% sure that you being a level above him doesn't like. He's not being exploited in any way, so he's being like double sure about stuff. So
at the end we had a hug and a cuddle, and I said to him, I know that was a bit tense because I knew it was tense, but that was only actually credit to how good you were on the table. I had some like atrocious shots with Lavergne. He kept blanking. The damage race would have been much quicker. I'm not sure I would have lost my ghost before his, and that was hard. So I needed as much time in that game as possible. So yeah, it's just, you know what, listen, both of these lists are the best advert for 2.0. I can't wait. There's like 80 days, 75 days till we get I'm so excited again.
Like when the new Star Wars movie's coming out.
Literally counting down like it's my birthday. So really what's going on here, everyone, it's kind of boring, not to knock it, but it's the same old, and we want our new game now.
This is noticeable through the viewer numbers. You had something like 211 viewers. And being Rasta Maice, that's a low number.
And
I've noticed it yesterday as well. And it is. I'm sort of feeling it as well because I've now done 5 system opens and I've seen the same lists at all of them pretty much. So.
It's alright, listen everyone, have faith, 2.0's coming, it's going to be amazing. We get level playing field to start again, we all can relearn a game and we can pull out ships we haven't used in years. They're getting rid of a lot of the toxic stuff that you're seeing on the boards at the moment. I hate it as much as you do. I'm sorry I'm not flying Dash Po, but I've done a whole year of being the snowflake and having to play my butt off, and Sim kind of pointed me at this and said have a go. I get to use my Thunderbird. That was my overriding reason.
Yeah, of course.
I never had to use this
model. Once I realised you'd bought that along, I was like, I have to try and get that on camera. I've got my signed picture.
I have that on my man cave as well. So, can I just give one quick shout out? Right? Can I just thank anyone that watched Simeon win Worlds and stayed up all night and supported him. I watched all 3 games back after he did it. I was up till 8 o'clock the following morning, crying my little eyes out at how much support you give him and how nice you were to him. Thank you from him. Thank you from me. It means the world. He'll make you proud in the next 18 months, and he'll never like besmirch the title. I promise.
The one shame is that like obviously you've got your invitation. Kev's got the invitation, but Simeon doesn't have the invitation to Coruscant.
Well,
that's the one downside to that.
We'll see about that.
Because now you've got 2.
I've got 2, but we'll see about that. We're going to have to have some words with the powers that be, everyone, about the fact that this is the first invitational proper big one,
and the first second edition event. And the world champion's not going to be there.
Come on, get him in there. Daddy's going to like cut some dreads off and sell them. Because for those of you that don't know, look.
It's a bit like sometimes when you see
no one realises until they've seen them.
Until they see you from behind.
And by the way, do I look like Danny DeVito, everyone? Apparently Simeon says because I pulled my hair back I look like Danny DeVito. I know I'm not the best looking guy, but surely not Danny DeVito.
I don't think Simeon's seen much Danny DeVito.
No, so when we went to America, we got off the plane and I said to him, I don't know how to find it. I had no sat nav. Went, should we just go and find Nakatomi Plaza and we'll do the photos? And he went, what's Nakatomi Plaza? And I said, you know what? Get out of the car. You're no son of mine.
Let me open up Netflix and find Die Hard.
Oh my God! Have you not seen that?
No way.
Right, we're going to go and eat.
Yeah, of course. What is it? Lunchtime now?
Well, I think a break for the top 8.
All right.
Then we'll marry up with the hyperspace, so they can start jumping in.
Okay, well, good luck, man. I'll see you later on.
Yeah,
okay?
One love, everyone, and please go out there and support Simon's Patreon.
Thank you.
Yeah, big time.
Okay, there you go. I'll help you over. This is not the best one for me to carry.
I'll have that one. Because my ball has got a bit floppy after the day.